Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1, test, test, test. Okay, morning everybody. Yet again, I've got the drawing room. Feels more at home with that image. Okay, so today, stress and anxiety, and I've had a few requests to rerun a session on stress and anxiety, which I completely understand because it's stressful and anxiety inducing at the moment for everybody. Try turning off your TV sets. That's the first thing. And don't buy a newspaper and don't use the internet except to attend my classes. So first, some comments. Subscribe, like, comment, and donate. So if you're paying for one of the courses, or you're on a concession or whatever, you don't have to do any of that. But for the people that pop up from time to time, if you enjoy it, at the end of the session, I'll put up a slide with a couple of links on it, and you can donate to your heart's content. As well as that, I'm going to teach. I've actually planned it out. Planned it out what I'm going to teach today. That's a first after 8 years. And there are 3 meditations, and what I've done is I've put them in the description. So there's a link to the 2020meditation.com podcasts page. You go on there and you'll find lots of meditations, but you'll also find those 3. So rather than putting 3 separate, complicated podcast links in there, I'm just sending you to the 2020 meditation podcast page. Okay, so first of all, a couple of exercises. And the exercise number 1 is, if you close your eyes and imagine you're in your kitchen, and imagine you are at the worktop and you have a chopping board, a knife, and that's the knife that you use to cut lemons. And you've got a lemon, so you put the lemon down on the chopping board and you slice through it slowly, tip to tip, so it's lengthways. And you lift the lemon up in the palm of your hand, cupping it, still with your eyes closed, and you bring the lemon close to your face. And what you do is, before you do anything else, what you do is you squeeze it in your hand. And the zest and acidity and the smell, so you're breathing in, and you're breathing in this lemon smell. And then you open your mouth and you slide the lemon in and you bite halfway down into it, and then all the way through it. Now, what happens to most people when they do that is that they salivate. I think it's probably about 50-50, but a good proportion of the population will salivate. One of the concepts that I borrowed, I borrow concepts to teach from science and from the spiritual traditions. And one of the concepts that I borrow is a thing called the body-mind. And what the body-mind is the combination of the body and the mind and how it operates. And what you're seeing there is you creating something in your mind that's causing your physiology to respond. So let's say you have a financial issue. Let me use that because it's quite abstract. It's not a real physical threat. Nobody's coming through your door. It's not a social threat. It's part of our culture, very abstract thing, money. So, am I going to be able to afford this in the future? There's an example. What you're doing is that you're creating anxiety for yourself if your mind just keeps going back to that potential problem repetitively. And we'll come to that in a second. And then what happens is, when you come to that potential problem, your body responds. So it's the mind creating anxiety, and then that translating itself into physical stress. So the body is capable of responding to something that you create in your mind. And I mentioned a moment ago, if your mind keeps going repetitively back to that thing, so here's another little test. If you close your eyes, and I've got an instruction for you, and the instruction is do not think about white polar bears. Right? Do not think about white polar bears. And what happens? Right. Well, what happens is your mind keeps coming to white polar bears. And, I've heard people pop up with a little trick and they say, ha, I can not think about white polar bears by thinking about green dragons. And so my answer to that is don't think about green dragons. And you see, the thing is that's the way the mind operates. So what it will do is the brain is designed to identify threats. So it'll identify a threat. If for some reason that threat diminishes or disappears, or it gets kicked so far into the future that it doesn't matter, then what happens is you identify another threat. And that's as designed. But then what happens is one tends to get into a loop, especially if the threats are, it's like the mainstream media, right? It just gets into a loop. Here's a threat, loop, 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 loop. Oh, there's another threat, loop, 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 loop. So and then it will, every so often it will go back to all of the other threats. So if you want a model for the unhelpful part of the mind, it's the news media. It's repetitive and persistent, and it's always dredging up threats. If it doesn't have a threat, it will look on the other side of the world for a threat. It will look 6,500 kilometers away for a violent incident so that we can all freak out about it. And that's what it does. So this is what the mind does as well. So what we want to be able to do is intervene in that in a helpful way. So the thing that I teach, mindfulness-based resilience, it consists of three areas really. One is meditation practices and mindfulness practices. Mindfulness is about the experience of the present moment. And what's that got to do with anxiety and stress? Let's find out. So if you just listen to the sound of this bell. And the big question is, what is in the sound of the bell? What is in the sound of the bell? And when I ask this in a group, I get back, and feel free to type in what you notice in the sound of the bell. There's vibration, there's musical note, it's variation of tone, there's a harmonic frequency. And then I say, what isn't in the sound of the bell? And what isn't in the sound of the bell is all of those things that are frightening you. They're not there. And the reality is, most of our life, 99.99% of it, consists of moments like this. And those moments are polluted, they're contaminated by the repetitive, persistent looping of our very own global media narrative, which is searching far and wide for a threat, and then when that threat goes away. So give you an example. What were you worrying about last year? Type in here, anyone who was worried about a global pandemic. Anyone? Was that the top of your list? So what happened was very, very probably all of the things that you were worrying about last year have diminished in the scale of concern. And such is the nature of life, but the mind keeps doing this. So the mindfulness practices, the stress management practices, and there's emotional regulation practices. Those are the three areas that mindfulness-based resilience focuses on. When we get to the stress management practices, we have effectively there's two ways of dealing with your physical stress. And physical stress and anxiety for most of us are like this. Okay. One is through breathing practices, things like pranayama. I teach a lot of those. They're in my podcast. So if you go to that link down there, it'll take you to the podcast, and in there's a lot of breathing exercises. But today what we're going to do is we're going to cover the relaxation meditations. So up there, the 4-10s meditation. I'm going to teach you that today. That takes 4 minutes. Then you've got the de-stress meditation. Yeah, that takes 8 minutes. And we're not going to have time for it today, but you've also got the body scan. And the body scan takes 16 minutes. So effectively there's a meditation there for everybody. There's what you need to help you to learn how to relax. And why do you want to learn how to relax? The reason you want to learn how to relax is because when you're relaxed, you're not stressed. The body has two states, effectively, thing called the autonomic nervous system, and that runs everything. It runs the show. One is stress, the other is relaxation. How do you get from stress to relaxation? Practice. And so that's going to be the key element of our practices today, and there'll be support for this. Also, another thing to mention is on Monday at 3:30, I'm running another class, which is self-compassion, which is an important way of helping our stress out and our anxiety. Right, so enough about anxiety and stress, and a little bit more about meditation. So if you have never meditated, all you need to do is either close your eyes or close them half shut and look down past the tip of your nose at the floor. And that's only so you don't get distracted by anything that's going on around you. And you put your elbows by your side. And you put your feet on the floor. And you listen to the sound of the bell moving through time. Let me give you the sound of the bell moving through time again. Notice that there is no fear, there is no anxiety in that sound as you notice it moving through time. And we'll begin just by noticing something else moving through time, which is the movement of the belly rising and falling. Just a tiny little movement. And the place to notice it is at the point where the belly meets the chest. And notice that if you observe, if you witness that, you're able to notice the movement through time. Just the gentle rising and falling of the belly. And now if you take the palm of your hand and you place it very, very close to your forehead without actually touching. So you're getting your hand as close as you can to the forehead, but it's not touching the forehead. And then you move your hand away. Forehead. You're noticing the coolness now that your hand's moved, and there's a slight tingling. So if you gently place your thumb and fingertips in contact with the lightest possible pressure, such a light pressure that you could slide a cigarette paper between them. And then you place your tongue up against the back of the top teeth, just so it's in contact with the sharp part of the bottom teeth. And allow yourself to become aware of the sensation in the forehead and the eyebrows and the eyes and the cheeks. So it's like somebody's running their fingers down your face, over your eyes. And what we want to do is train ourselves to release the tension in our body when we breathe out. Because what happens when we breathe in, body goes into stress mode, sympathetic mode. When we breathe out, it goes into parasympathetic mode. Sorry, it goes into sympathetic mode, relaxation. Breathing in, sympathetic mode. Breathing out, parasympathetic mode. Breathing in, tension. Breathing out, relaxation. As you breathe out, you're allowing the tension to drift away from your eyes. Just letting the tension out on each out breath. When you do this at home, what you're doing is you're breathing out for 10 out breaths. Now breathing in normally, breathing out, releasing the tension from the mouth and lips, jaw and throat. So you're doing this for 10 out breaths when you do it at home. And now we're focusing on the jaw, releasing the tension as we breathe out. Checking in at any point, checking in, are our fingers and thumbs very gently in contact, elbows by the side, feet on the floor, head balanced comfortably on top of the spine, tongue in contact with the back of the top teeth, sharp part of the bottom teeth. Gently releasing all of that tension, breathing in normally, breathing out, releasing the tension from the back and sides of the neck and the shoulders. And you can move your head around to find the most comfortable place. So each out breath is allowing that tension to drift out of the body. So again, breathing in normally, breathing out, releasing the tension from the hands. If you don't feel any sensation when you do that, what you can do is when you breathe in, clench your fists, not too hard, but hard enough. Breathe out, relaxing the hands, allowing the fingers to open up like the petals of a flower. Breathe in, tighten the fists, breathe out, releasing the fingers, just letting them open up. And now all of those 4 places, Breathing in, focus your attention on the space between your eyes. Breathing out, relaxing the eyes, jaw, shoulders, hands, like a wave of relaxation moving down the body. Breathing in, noticing the space between your eyes. Breathing out, eyes, jaw, shoulders, hands. And so back to the hands. If you haven't tightened them up, then now's a good time to do it. So you're breathing in, tighten the hands, breathing out, releasing them. As you breathe out, letting out whatever tension you can. Now what we're going to do is move through the body. So breathing in, back to the shoulders. And releasing the tension in the shoulders, elbows by the side. All on the out breath. Just letting the tightness out of the shoulders. Breathing in normally. Breathing out, releasing the tension from the back and sides of the neck. Finger and thumb still very gently in connection. Breathing in normally, breathing out, relaxing the back and sides of the neck, the shoulders and the hands. Breathing in normally, breathing out, releasing the tension from the forehead. So you've still got a connection with the forehead. You can still feel it from the exercise earlier. Just letting the tightness out the forehead and then moving down the face, tongue up against the back of the top teeth, in contact with the sharp part of the bottom teeth, head balanced comfortably on top of the spine. Moving down the face, relaxing as we go on the out breath, releasing the tension from the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyes, releasing the tension from the cheeks, the mouth and lips, the jaw. Really helps if your teeth are gently in contact with the sharp part, your tongue is gently in contact with the sharp part of the bottom teeth as you're releasing the tension from the jaw and releasing the tension from the throat. And you're noticing the chest rising and falling, and the chest and back expanding and contracting. and the belly rising and falling. What we're going to do now is relax all of the area around the pelvic girdle. Feet on the floor, elbows by the side. Comfort, you're looking for comfort everywhere. The more comfortable you are, the less muscles are active. And you're noticing the sensation in your thighs. You're noticing the thighs in contact with a chair, clothing around them. Breathing in normally, breathing out, releasing the tension from the thighs. All on the out breath. And then we're going to move back round through the body. All on the out breath. Releasing the tension from the buttocks and hips. Allow yourself to settle down into your chair or your cushion. Relaxing the waist. Releasing the tension from the belly. Lower belly and the abdomen. And the lower back. You're just settling down. Head balanced comfortably on top of the spine. Moving back up through the body. Releasing tension from the chest and upper back. And then back up. Relaxing the neck, the throat. Releasing as you go. So it's letting go of something. Relaxation isn't doing something. It's letting go of something. Gently, bit by bit. Releasing the tension from the jaw, the mouth and lips, the cheeks, the eyes, the eyebrows, and the forehead. Check in with the body. Has your torso, has your pelvic girdle tightened up? Breathing in normally, breathing out, just letting a wave of relaxation move down the body, from the top of the head down to the tips of your fingers, down through to your feet, down into the floor. And you're checking in as you go, relaxing, letting the tension drift away. Breathing in normally, breathing out, releasing the tension from the back and sides of the neck. And the shoulders. Let your arms hang from your shoulders. Far easier if the elbows are by the side. If your hands are in front of you, or you're leaning forward, we've trained ourselves to tense up the body to compensate for that forward leaning. So it's a constant practice, elbows by the side. Each out breath, the weight of the arms is gently pulling the shoulders down. And finally the hands, fingertips and thumb tips, very gently in contact. And all of the tension drifting out of the hands. And then back to noticing the movement of the belly. Rising and falling. And while you're doing this, you're developing, learning, training yourself sensitivity to your physiological tension. Where it is, how to adjust your body, how to breathe, how to release it. Bit by bit, incremental relaxation. That's what this is. And all you're doing is noticing that tiny little movement. Belly rising, belly falling. Notice the movement of the belly moving through time. Like a second hand sweeping round a clock. What you're noticing there is the present moment. And so you can hear it as well. Here it is. Present moment, moving through time. The sound of the bell. It's the belly moving and time moving. And then whenever you're ready, gently return your attention to your surroundings. Okay, so that was the 410s meditation and the de-stress meditation. Like I said, we've got the body scan as well. And they're all in the podcast. The podcast link is down there in the description for this video. Okay, so that's it for today. Hope you all found that useful. It almost seems, it seems like these things are totally distinct. There I am, I'm anxious, and this guy's teaching me to relax, but look what happens. And that's because it's all connected. The stress, worry, anxiety, they're all connected like that. And what we're doing is separate, by doing practices like this, among other things, right, we're training ourselves to relax, we're training ourselves to focus on the body. You're training yourself to become aware of your physiology in a way that's comfortable for you. Whole lot of stuff going on. But as well as that, you're learning to separate it all out, which is a very special thing. And that separation helps us to cope and manage, our anxiety. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is move over to the outro, which is a suggestion that you donate, and you can put your pennies in by going to those, right there they are, those links down there, and I shall leave this up for a little while. Okay, so thanks everybody. I'm pleased you found it useful, and well, I hope you found it useful. I don't know. And like I said, there's an extra, so the agenda for this week is tomorrow evening, mindfulness-based resilience course group training. Monday 3:30 is the I'm doing a training for carers, but it's publicly available. Feel free to pop in, and you can also listen to it, and that's also on YouTube, and that's based on self-compassion. This is Carers Week. It's really important. Thanks everybody. And then we've got the Wednesday and Thursday course classes, and then back round to Saturday, so I'm teaching 5 times this week. Okay, and I shall send out information on in the usual way. If you're not on the mailing list, if you go to the 2020meditation.com site, there's many opportunities to join the mailing list. Okay, so that's it. So thank you all, bless you all, and have a fantastic weekend, and catch up with you all. And it's lovely to see everybody from the various classes as well. Erica and Colin and Dan and Wendy and Maxine and Martin, bless you all. Okay, so I'll just leave this up for a little while.